So I want to start with the first 30 days of Trump. We've got 26 executive orders, 12 memoranda, 4 proclamations, and he rescinded 78 executive orders from the previous administration. What are you okay with here? These things, what are you like, yeah, I like that, if anything?
I mean, I think there's a difference between what are you okay with and expecting versus, what did I wake up on January 20th and say like, oh, please, Lord, grant me, troops to the southern border. That's one of the things that I'm fine with. I mean, there was an expectation that Trump was going to do things like say there are only 2 genders. And that's just, it's part of it. It was a huge part of the campaign. It was a huge part of the very successful messaging, I think, against Democrats that we were obsessed with letting trans women and, women's sports at the competitive level, like the Leah Thomases of the world. And, it's a 70% approval issue in the Republicans' direction. So all of that stuff I was expecting. I think the national emergency along the border, deploying more resources to the border, expected and fine with. I think that that's somewhere where everyone can say, after dealing with this crisis for the last few years and understanding the impact in real terms once the governors of Texas and Arizona and DeSantis helped out as well from Florida, shipping migrants up north, and we got a little taste of what it's like in El Paso, that people are pretty uniformly fine with saying that we have an emergency down there. So those are the ones that I'm looking at and just saying expected, and I get it. I think aspects of the conversation and moves around DEI also expected and fine. I think some of it goes too far, and they've already had to correct an error where they took down the recruitment video under the DEI section at DOD that profiled the Tuskegee Airmen and the female pilots from World War II, the WASPs. And Katie Britt, the senator from Alabama, flagged that, and Pete Hegseth said, we're going to address it. And then a few hours later, it was reinstated. So I think that one of the main problems that they're facing is when you try to do too much too fast. And it's not to say that the goals aren't worthy. And I understand that there are a lot of people who are just starved for what they perceive as leadership and action. And I think that's what Trump is really good at doing, at saying, like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do the thing. But this is complex. Right? All of DEI is not created equally. Some of it is silly and some of it is quite legitimate and has been around for decades and for a very good reason. And my caution, I guess, to the right on these moves as they continue to work at breakneck pace is just be focused and be specific about what you're doing. Like the flights of, I think it was 1,660 Afghans who had been approved for resettlement here, including people who worked as translators for us and people who are targets of the Taliban. That seems at odds with what the American public would want, and one of those too fast, too furious moves. So that's about where I am, like trying to be thoughtful and considerate about this, accepting the fact that my side lost and elections have consequences. And so some of this you're just going to have to deal with, but that we can be smart about it and probably get to a place where about 50 to 60% of the American public actually agrees.
You know what? I did not expect that answer. And so I would love, I thought you were going to be upset about far more of it. And I would like to break down.
Not today. I'm getting ready for the 5. I'm like in the mood I want to have the fights I want to have. And I want Janine to leave me alone about certain things. So I have my list of what I'm okay with.
And the list of what you want to push back on. Okay. Yeah. I want to get back to that in a minute, which was my primary focus.